Hey, folks, welcome to episode 93 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. I'm usually broadcasting to you at 3 o'clock Central Time because I'm in South Dakota. But right now I'm broadcasting to you at 1 p.m. Pacific Time because I'm in San Diego. And it's wonderful. It's the first time I've been here, been back since 2020, and I lived here for 10 years, and it's good to see friends, and I'm just so grateful. And speaking of gratitude, my guest today is she's had quite a epic journey during the last number of years, and she's her journey has led her to have so much wisdom, which I'm excited to share with you. So we'll be back in a sec. We'll be back in a sec. Oh yeah, we'll be back in a sec. That was not smooth. Okay, one more time. We'll be back in a sec.
Today's guest, RaeAnn Gardner.
Welcome back to Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. Let me tell you a bit about the amazing person RaeAnn Gardner is. But first, I want you to consider a question. How do we create new rewarding experiences for ourselves after our course in life has shifted due to a life-changing event? How do we create new rewarding experiences for ourselves after our course has been shifted due to a life-changing event? Now let me tell you about a phenomenal guest today. RaeAnn Gardner is a creative, intuitive soul who is also a seeker of change. Born and raised in Minnesota. Yay for Minnesota! She performed marketing and communication work in city government for over 20 years. A series of unpredictable events revealed a new path to her. This path has been full of lessons, challenges, and unique experiences that have literally taken everything away to show her that she has everything she needs. Now RaeAnn uses her gifts to help people process the significant events in their lives. She celebrates her ability to bring love and beauty to the world by using her creative energies to make our journal sing, and compose songs. Hanging out with family enriches her. RaeAnn is excited and honored to share her gifts and continue this journey that has brought so much growth and love into her life. With that, I don't want to wait a minute longer before welcoming RaeAnn.
Hello.
Hello, my friend. Thanks for being here.
I'm so excited. Thank you for inviting me to be on your show. I think you're just the most incredible person, and I love our story and how we became friends.
Yeah, and we thanks for reminding me. We should definitely. I'm definitely going to ask you to tell that.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's back back up a ways. If I had asked you when you were in grade school, RaeAnn, what do you think your path through life will be like? What would you have said to me?
Oh, in grade school, I was a very quiet, shy, insecure little girl
Mm,
who lived in a lot of fear and shame. And
mm,
so
mm,
every time I didn't really speak up for myself, I would defend others if I saw
mm,
something wrong. Where did I think I would end up? At the time, I really liked math and I thought I'd be an accountant somewhere in an office and that would be my life.
And then how did the accounting the early dream of being an accountant change?
Oh, when I finally reached the point to go to college for accounting, it right away I knew this is not for me. This is quiet. It's work that's done silently. It is
Mm,
um, it it wasn't creative,
mm,
and I knew already in my heart that this isn't the path that I wanted to take. Now I didn't really have a choice in it either. You know, you either move out or you go to college, and so that's what I went. I did quit college and didn't tell my parents for 3 months. But it was something, the best decision I ever made, because it was knowing that that's not even close to who I am. And God bless accountants and people who love to do that. It's not me.
so even though you were shy and in accounting, you could have kind of hid behind
Yeah.
that work. You knew you wanted something different.
Yes. And at the time, actually, that I quit, my best friend was in her final stages of fighting her battle with cancer. At the age of
Mm,
19, she passed
mm,
away. And that just solidified everything for me, that life is really short. And I just lost the best friend I've had since I was 4 and she was 2. And I
mm,
knew that
mm,
you know, when she was sick, I just knew that this is not me, and it's not my path.
mm.
And so, yeah.
So it's really sad when friends die young, and it's such a shock because isn't it? Because we don't think that people will die young.
Never, never in my mind did I think Sarah would go. I always had told her that I'll die before you. I was the
Mm,
sick one. I was the
mm,
one, you know, the one that wasn't outwardly, like, she was so vibrant, her light
mm,
so bright,
mm,
and she
mm,
went for things. And when she got her diagnosis, she just went and did everything she wanted, which was
mm,
being up in the air and falling to the ground. You know, the bungee jumping, the skydiving, the
mm,
flying a helicopter and an airplane, all those things happened, and that was her
mm,
spirit. She was so alive, and I was the
mm.
total opposite. I like to stay on the ground, thank you. I'm not I'm not going bungee jumping, that's crazy. And you know, and I lived fearfully, while she
Mm.
lived freely.
Mm.
Yeah.
So 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 what happened next for you after Sarah
hmm
after seeing Sarah live so freely and then pass? What happened next for you?
So after Sarah passed, I got married, and I had worked at a gas station and then applied for a job with the city that I was living in. And I got that job. And it started out as a part time front desk position for parks and recreation. So, you know, it was something I didn't think about, but it allowed my creative side to come out. And eventually, uh, that position and that career, I built it over 23 and a half years. And I went from, as you know, front desk receptionist part-time to full-time marketing, created a position for me, made a lot of changes and got to be creative. Had to fight for those changes because government, nothing happens easily and nothing happens fast.
Mm.
And I worked
Mm.
myself up to um, being pulled out of Parks and Recreation totally and into a new department, communications for the entire city. And
Wow.
it
Wow.
was the most incredible
Mm.
experience and job,
Mm.
one that I love because I love um, different personalities. You have to work with
Mm.
everybody in the city and every director. And so there are people who are military, and there are people who are softies, and then the hardcore people, but I knew how to relate and crack them open. I'm always like, I'm going to crack this one open. and
Wow. Wow.
and I would, and then build the respect and the relationship to where we just work and we can create and we can get things accomplished because we have this relationship where we're communicating, right? And I found out that is my gift, was looking at people and seeing people for who they are, not for that person that they put out there, but I see souls first
Mm.
before I see physical people.
Mm.
And it's just a gift that
Mm.
has really grown. And that time with the city taught me so much, and I wouldn't trade it.
Mm. So Dale Santel says hi. He lives in Texas and
Hello.
he's also a creator. He's create businesses and he
hmm
talks to college students and he
Yes.
has an amazing story too. Thanks
Yes.
for being on, Dale. So so when you were in the when you first got your first job with Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
what kept you wanting to expand your abilities and move to the point where they created a position for you? You could have just said, "Hey, I applied for this job. I got this. This is what I'm going to be doing now."
Yeah, I was never satisfied. I'm a person that when I see something that can be done better, easier, um, that can bring in more people, it was just that drive for change. And
Mm,
like I said, government, the drive for change is not
mm,
exactly something they look for
mm,
in an employee, respectfully, because it's always worked this way, it's still going to work this way. I have no fear of asking the hard questions, and
mm,
I found my voice in my job with the small circle in Park and Rec, to be able to work up to marketing and really fight for, at the time being full color instead of newspaper pamphlets and stuff like that to bring people in. And so it was just really knowing that I have more in me creatively to keep going, and that I just did it. I don't think I consciously thought of moving up at all. In fact, when it happened, I was quite surprised. I was surprised, and I was honored, because that meant someone saw me, and I know who saw me, and then how it happened. And it was just incredible. That's a gift, right? That's grace given upon me so that I can use the talents that I have.
So then you move up in your career. You're bringing more people, and you're creating new ideas. You're campaigning for change and progress, and then what happened that involved a blue ribbon?
So this is where everything in my life changed in a moment. And it's something you can never be trained for. And it was something that it just changed everything. So I'm going to condense the story as much as I can. Being communications, being the department, I was in charge of all social media, all the websites, and including internal communication and external, right? So everything that went out was seen by me, and then things like that. So on Mother's Day weekend in 2015, so May of 2015, I was at home. Mother's Day, it's my choice. I got to stay in my pajamas, don't do your hair, don't do your makeup, sit on the couch, and it's always been my dream. It took us 13 years to have our daughter, Isabella. And so it was always my dream to sit on the couch with my husband and a daughter, and we were watching a movie. And being communications, I had 2 cell phones at the time, but I had put them on the kitchen island and said, no, not today, right? Mother's Day, not today. When I heard the first phone vibrate, I had this deep feeling inside of me that something's about to happen. Then when the second one went off, I knew I had to get up off that couch. Something is happening. And so when I picked up the phone, it was my fire chief. And he shared that we lost a police officer, Officer Todd Besser, the night before, after he got off of his shift and went to his son's house. His ended up in an argument with his youngest son, who took a gun when Officer Besser was downstairs on the computer, and he didn't know what was coming, and he was shot and killed. He got shot in the back of the head. Christopher, his son, went then upstairs and waited for his brother to come into the house. He was outside, and his brother Blake was then shot in the chest. And so he was able to call 911, passed away on the call. Didn't even know his dad, had been killed just moments before. So what happened was, like, right then, I have 15 minutes to pull myself together to get to City Hall, because I need to brief the chief and the mayor and the city administrator on how we're going to handle this and what are we going to say and all this stuff. And there was this moment when I pulled up in the car to the police department, which we were kind of on a campus, so City Hall, police and fire. And I knew that when I would get out of my car, that I would have to shut off every emotion inside of me and become focused, driven, just focus. I knew that. So when I opened up the door and I grabbed my work bag and I put it over my shoulder, I put my shoulders back, my head up high, and I said, this is it. You're here to do a job, and put all emotion aside to do this, because I knew I was walking in to his brothers in work and people who loved it. He was a great guy. He was always happy. And so to be able to walk through the door and they're lined up, the police officers and state troopers, and to walk through that without any emotion, and to get to his partner, who I know, and his wife had watched my daughter, and so we know each other, and I hugged him, I held him, and I felt, I could feel the sadness, and I just had to keep going. I just had to keep walking. And from that moment on, it became for me, telling the story of who he is, not how he died. And then I didn't understand the power of social media and the power of people behind a keyboard that can say anything that they want. And so when the news conference ends and we go to immediately post on Facebook, creating that first message was so important, to be about his life, not how he died. And the picture wasn't, his wife really didn't want the picture of him in his police uniform. It was him in a beach Hawaiian shirt, because that's who he was. And so to be the one to craft that message and to put it out was an honor. And I wanted to do it right. And then when that message went out, social media absolutely exploded in a way I never knew. I had rose-colored glasses. I was very naive. I didn't understand the evil that was waiting to snap. And didn't matter how Officer Besser died to these people. It mattered that he was a police officer. And it mattered that he died. And then the evil so fast. And so it ended up to be 48 hours of 2 devices in my hand and a tablet in front of me, and nonstop reading these horrible messages and getting them off, because I kept saying to myself over and over, not on my watch, not on my watch. These are my pages, my babies, not on my watch will this be seen by anybody but me. And that became everything to me. And so it was never going anywhere, no eating, go to the bathroom with them, everything, because it was nonstop. And the second day, my fire chief came over to my cubicle, and I was, just in it, totally oblivious to anything around me, because that was the focus. And he asked how I was doing, and all I did was look up. And later I found out, he said he's never seen that look on my face before. And so immediately he said, I'll be right back. And that ended up to be where I was put in a room. I got to pick one employee to be with me. We controlled the command center, and we were the watchers, right? The keepers of social media. And we were trained by state and federal on incidences like this. I had one guy lean over to me during the meeting where I was still holding my phone. He's like, when's the last time you put your phone down? And I'm like, not until the chief took it away, but I demanded it back. And then he's like, when's the last time you ate? And so there was someone there who understood, because it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable until you go through it. And so no one knows except for the people, Abra, my coworker, and I are the only ones who know what went on. We had screens set up, and police officers, they're little, they're sneaky, and they want to know everything that's going on, even if it's bad. And so they would try to come in, but we had one button where we could hit it. It all goes dark. And we had Maroon 5, the video, Sugar, come up on the screens because that video brought us joy. That video connected us to happiness when all we were seeing was evil and horrible, horrible things. And you're talking everything from bomb threats to everything, to the most horrible words that could be spoken being typed out. And we saw it and we took it on, and then our fire chief took care of us. You need to go to the bathroom. You need to eat. He brought his dog Liberty in who came from Afghanistan as a puppy. And Liberty came bouncing like a bunny rabbit. She's big, she's a border collie, comes bouncing and just jumps on me. She knew what was going on. I ended up on the floor with her, laying down, me and her, and my arm around her. And that was the time about halfway through the week that I started to feel like human. But it was just focus for a week and a half. So after, we planned the funeral, we had a command center, everything. We went to the funeral, which is held in a large gym, a lot of dignitaries, a lot of police officers from around the state. As you know, that's what they do. And it was a time where when I walked up to Officer Besser's casket, this big wave, like an ocean wave, flew from behind me and flew through me with every emotion I held back, every emotion I kept silent and pushed down came to life. And I almost fell to my knees. And by the grace of God, I think angels carried me out of that gym. The door was far away. And that's when the emotions came out. That's when everything, it came out. And to see the community come together, for this officer to see all the lights, the line of police cars, and I'm in the fire chief's car, right? His fire chief car, and the lights are going, and I look in the side mirror, and all I could see is lights and lights and lights and silence, and people on the sides silently holding signs and waving their flags and their hands over their hearts. And I just couldn't believe the outpouring of love for the community. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, they never saw the evil that is sitting there right on the surface. So after everything is done, I do all the paperwork because it's government, fill out all the paperwork. My chief came into the room and he went knee to knee with me. And he said, "How are you doing?" And I just looked up and I said, "Did I do enough? Did I get it all? Did I cover everything? I wasn't trained for this. Did I do it right?" I was just so like, did I get it? Did I get it right? And he said, "Just a moment, RaeAnn, I'm going to be right back." And he left me. And he came back and he's holding this, a bigger white envelope. And it's sealed, and he hands it to me, and I literally knew that what was in my hands was about to change my life. And he said, "Go home, hug your family. You haven't seen them. Spend time with them, and when you're ready, go in a room and open this envelope." And that is exactly what I did. And when I opened the envelope, on top of it, paper clipped to a letter, was a blue ribbon that says, "Who I am," if I can get it in there, makes a difference. So who I am makes a difference. In that moment, when my eyes read this, every cell in my body, every part of me knew that I made a difference, that I was enough. I'm 42 years old at the time, and I didn't know. I didn't know I mattered. I didn't know, and I got it. In that moment, it changed my entire life, that my voice matters. I'm enough, and I did it. And this blue ribbon has taken me on a journey, an unbelievable journey. This blue ribbon is infused in every situation that has happened since. And the fire chief, the letter explained, received his blue ribbon while walking off shift from working the pile at 9/11 as a young firefighter. A little girl broke away from the barricade, ran up to him and his partner, and didn't say a word, and hugged them and handed them the blue ribbon, which changed their lives, which in turn made him the youngest fire chief for the state of Minnesota and the one to give me the blue ribbon. And so, yeah.
Wow. What just an epic story of I mean, so sad, so sad, so sad about the officer, and sad about the comments on on social media, but also so beautiful how your team supported each other, the fire chief, and then how the town came out to support the hero, and then the story of getting the blue ribbon. So did you ever happen to? I wonder who created. I'm laughing because I know the answer, but I wonder who created the blue ribbon, and did you ever happen to get to say hi to this person and thank them?
Yes, it was a year later that I did a walk for Officer Besser in his memory, an event. And that's where I got to meditate on everything that happened. And during that walk, and when I had framed the blue ribbon, it sat on my desk every day. And I never realized until after that walk that there's a website on this ribbon. Never saw it. And I wrote a 2-paragraph letter. I emailed it. I never used any names or anything except for mine. And the next day, my phone rings from California. And I thought in my job, I don't want to talk to a salesperson or a solicitor. I'm going to ignore it. Well, then it rang again. And I pick it up.
And it rang again?
It rang right away. It rang again. And I'm like, well, I better pick this up. And I pick it up, and here's this voice, this boisterous voice. And she's like, RaeAnn, I'm Grandma Sparky, and I am the creator of the blue ribbon. And I'm like, my eyes are big, and I'm like, what? And she said, I'm the creator of the blue ribbon, and I'm so touched by your story. And does it happen to be, firefighter T. John Cunningham? And I go, well, that's Chief now. And it was. And she's the one that gave those ribbons to that little girl because that little girl lost her uncle in the towers. So it was the creator of the blue ribbon on the phone while I'm at work, and telling me that I have just ignited something in her. And it started conversations of me flying out and training underneath her to become a blue ribbon ambassador. And raising funds, which is something I'm not very good at, and asking for help. And she's like, you have to do it. And so coaching from Grandma Sparky, meeting the people that were in the first training, and she's such a smart lady. She doesn't tell you who's in there. And if she had, I wouldn't have shown up. I would not have shown up to that training because I didn't think I belong there. I'm thinking I'm a small town Minnesota girl. I don't belong in a room with these people. And then I realized at the end when she says, this is the reason, RaeAnn is the reason we are all together in this room. And so it's having that belief inside of you that your voice matters, that things you do, trusting your intuition and your gut, that matters, that God put a gift inside of you that matters and needs to come out and be put out to the world.
So often we think to make a difference in the world, we have to do something enormous, something overwhelmingly big.
Yeah.
But what you got was a blue ribbon, and that changed the trajectory of your journey.
Yes.
So now we get to another. I mean, I still can't believe this part of the story happened. I mean, this is beyond my comprehension. But
Yes.
so will you just describe how you and I happened to meet?
Yes, I love this story so much. I know Davy Williams, and I saw you through Davy, and saw you on social
So
media.
will you say briefly how you knew me through Davy? Just like did he talk about me?
He talked
Or
about
you
you. He talked about you. You had a Facebook page. I knew about you, and I had already fallen in love with you, you know, and followed you, friend requested you. And so when I show up in California to represent the Blue Ribbon to a new group that's going to be trained as ambassadors, there was a party the night before. And so we're in this big room, and I'm looking around and I freeze because there you are, Jason Freeman, the person I just think is, you're amazing. And I was like, that he's here, physically here. And I was so excited. I think I just ran up to you. If I
yeah.
remember, I think I just ran up to you. I'm like, you're Jason Freeman. and and I've been following you, and I knew you through Davy, and I saw you through Davy's eyes, and then I saw you through my eyes, you know, and it was so magical that our connection was immediate. It was immediate. And I remember just having a conversation with you, knowing that this is a person I want a part of my life. That, you know, I was so grateful because when you meet someone in person, you can feel their energy. You can feel a connection, a soul connection right away. And that's what happened. And I was so excited to meet you, and we couldn't get over. I'm like, I'm from Minnesota. You're here in San Diego. How did this happen? Davy's in Florida.
And I'm originally from South Dakota, and I
Yeah.
have relatives near where you were at the time in Minnesota, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like, and also what about Davy? The day Davy and I meet in person is going to be another amazing day. Davy and I have had lots of talks, but we've never met in person. Davy just sees people, not just, but he magic. So he saw me online, and just championing me and sharing my stuff and
Yes.
encouraging me. And then that's how you begin seeing me, and that
Yeah.
sets a stage for. So Davy, in a sense, gave me something small like a blue ribbon. Gave me his enthusiasm, his willingness to
Yeah.
share, and
Yeah.
then you came because you've been given a blue ribbon, and suddenly. And suddenly we met in this, I'm going to say, magical way.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't believe it was you. I couldn't believe you were standing there. It's just like was such a magical moment. And the blue ribbon is the start of it all. You know, I met Davey through Misfit Nation, which is the group I'm a part of. Actually, I'm the original Misfit. That's a whole different story. And that group was started because of my relationship with the person who runs it. And I met Davey through them. And it's like in a world that we live in little tiny boxes, you know, some of us. I was in a little tiny box. I never lived 40 miles away from my house, more than 40 miles away from my home where I grew up.
And I mean, don't say, you don't need to say the town name, but roughly how big was the town?
The town
Oh,
that I worked in or was 24,000. So these are all smaller towns around the
yeah,
Twin
yeah.
Cities. So, you know, the Twin Cities is about 45 minutes away from where I grew up. And, but I lived in such a tiny little box that even going to the cities was like a big deal. And then I find myself gifted with the blue ribbon and I'm flying on my own to go out to California and have an experience. And
And
it
you had
just,
never been to California?
I had been to California, but never taken a trip on my own. You know,
Mm,
I've never traveled on my own. I never
mm,
did things on my own mostly. And there was this, when you find out that you're enough, you can push through fear. You can push through all of that. And I remember my head boss asking me, "Where's the first place you're going to go in California?" San Diego. And I'm like, "I'm going to go to the zoo." And he goes, "We have a zoo here. Get in here." And he calls me into his office and he starts to Google things. He's like, "You're not going to the zoo. You are going to have an experience." And I was so terrified of the thought of going down to Ocean Beach, walking that pier by myself, and even getting an Uber, you know, am I going to do that right? I remember I set my suitcase down on the bed in the hotel, and I sat on there and I started to panic. I felt the panic. I felt the tears coming, and then I jumped up and I yelled out, "No, no, no, no!" Like a little kid, "No, no, no!" And threw a little tantrum, and then got my Uber, went down to Ocean Beach, had the most amazing
mm,
experiences, and met
mm,
amazing people, and that would
mm,
have never happened.
mm,
'Cause my box was tiny. I didn't get on an
mm,
airplane until I was 30, you know? So my
mm.
world was
Oh,
very small, very
oh,
protected.
wow. So then we only have about 15 minutes left.
Yeah, yeah,
And I want to talk about some of your journey since then. Not. I mean, it would be easy to get caught up in the challenges and the size of the challenges, and that's definitely a significant part of your journey. But one of the things that so inspires me about you is your perspective on the challenges and your willingness to keep persevering towards what you want
yeah,
and what you know is good for your family. So
yes,
so um So how do you want to talk about the years since
I'll
we met?
I'll just give some bullet points, you know.
Okay, bullet
Let's
points would
just
be
start
good.
with that. um, I was in, okay, so in 2018, my husband was in a federal job that he just got a year before, after 7 years of college. He's a disabled vet. He was in a car accident where he got rear-ended over 55 miles an hour at a dead stop, and it ended his career. He has a traumatic brain injury, and so that happened a year and 1 month later. The day after my birthday, I was in a limo accident that I was injured, and my injuries are a traumatic brain injury and a lower back injury. So that ended my career that I built for 23 and a half years, ended with the city.
So within a month, both of your the
A
careers
year,
you
a
guys.
year and 1 month. Yes,
Oh
a year
God.
and 1 month. There's suddenly no income. There's things happening. I lose my career, which was part of my identity, right? So who are you? Well, I'm RaeAnn. I'm communications. I work for the city. Well, all of a sudden, all that's gone. All of it is
Mm,
gone. So there's a grieving period of losing the person you thought you were,
mm,
and being open to a new person. So I started to get involved, and I started to work for charities like Chemo Buddies for Life, and that started to awaken all these things inside of me that I buried since my friend died. You know,
mm,
painting and songwriting and
mm,
singing and all this stuff.
mm,
Um, when we
mm,
both lost our careers, we eventually, the savings runs out. We lost our home, our apartment on the Mississippi, and became homeless and lived
mm,
with family for a little bit. And then I lived in my vehicle by myself while my daughter and husband were safe. And that's a decision we made together. She had been through so much that we wanted her to have security and such. So I went out and I was the person that was in the car by myself. Um, Something traumatic happened during that time. And since then, the VA in Minnesota brought us back together last year. At the end of August, we were
mm,
brought together into a motel, and we
mm,
lived in motels until we moved into an apartment that they help us find in October. So we are back together as a family.
mm,
And since then, a lot of things have happened. I've lost, you know, you find out who your people are. Because when things are tragic, when things are changing and are different, and people don't understand it, they tend to just disappear. So
mm,
all the people I thought that were friends, that we helped out, that we spent time with, they all disappeared. Family disappeared, and it was a very lonely time.
mm,
And there was always the belief from the moment everything happened that there's something bigger waiting. There's something bigger that's coming. There's a gift inside of me that God needs me to find to put out into the world. Now, it's taken me time to figure that out. And there's been a lot of things in between. And I spent 4 years under a lawsuit where I couldn't be online and just be free and be who I am. I lost my freedom for 4 years because I was being watched and everything that I did. And then I
mm,
had back surgery. And 5 weeks later, I thought I was healing perfectly. I end up sick, going to the hospital, find out I'm sepsis, and I had about an hour and a half to live. And I went through a near death experience. I got a choice whether to stay or not. God
mm.
cheated a little bit. He put my daughter's face in front of mine. That's when the decision was made. I'm not leaving my daughter. I'm like, I fought 13 years for that little girl. I'm not leaving her. And that was the end of that choice, right? And so there's all these things, and then there's COVID and there's shutdown. And um, I'm a unique person when I get sick. And COVID has really, I've had it 3 times. And so it's been a challenge. And every time I figure like we're not going to make it the next day, how are we going to find food? How, we lost our car. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? There are miracles that show up every single day. And you just have to recognize them.
So many, I mean, the circumstances of the world are very challenging for so many people right now, and so many people are angry, afraid, going, why me? I can't deal with this. What would you say to those people, both to honor where they're at the moment and to help them redirect their energy towards where they want to go?
I would first say I deeply understand. I deeply understand.
And
Second,
you do truly deeply understand.
Deeply understand and empathize. Second, I would say instead of saying why me, say why not me. And look at it as a blessing, because within, no matter how much pain you are in, no matter how bad the situation is, there is lessons there. If you pay attention, and there's grace, there's mercy and miracles in those situations that are going to bring you further in life. You just have to see them. Second, I would say don't live in fear. Our brains are programmed to figure out a problem the moment we wake up. It goes into problem solving. It's a problem from yesterday or 10 years ago. You're trying to solve something. You stop the process of problem solving. And what I do, what's worked for me, is either journaling, turning on a YouTube. YouTube has great motivational montage speeches that really just fill you up. And you need to be in gratefulness, grateful. And you can find, no matter how bad the situation, and I've been in terrible, terrible situations, if I can find one thing to be grateful for, two things to be grateful for, three things, fear cannot exist if you are in gratefulness. They cannot exist together.
Do the things we're grateful for have to be big things?
No. Mine were teeny tiny. When I was living in my car, thank you for the safety of a shelter while it's raining. When I moved into the apartment and I got to cut vegetables, real vegetables, and I was cutting them, I'm so grateful for the healthy food that I can cut in my kitchen. Thank you for the ability to open my eyes, to see, to smell, to taste. There's so much, like, you can, if you just pause and stop the negative thinking and stop thinking about the problem and change how your thought process is. And that you're enough. You're worth everything. You weren't created for nothing. You're worth everything. And there's no one that stands above you or below you. I used to put people up on a pedestal. Davey taught me this. He saw it in me right away. I'm putting people up on a pedestal. Some are gold studded, diamond studded. They're up there. No, because they stand beside me. They may be further along in their journey, right? But they're beside us. No matter how much money a person has or doesn't have. If you look at my life right now and a person who's not awake or not, they would judge it, right? And I've had people judge it. What are you doing? You have a daughter, you should be taking care of her, and you should be providing, and all these things, where they didn't understand the full story. My doctor only allows me to work so many hours a week. Still to this day. Now I have my freedom back, right? And so now I can do what I want to do. There's limitations. There's a brain injury. But there's whatever I lost, I can compensate and it's like retraining your brain. And I may have lost a certain ability, yet there's a way to retrain it so you don't feel the loss. It's and there's so much in life to be grateful for, and surround yourself with the people who support you as you grow. People get uncomfortable when you grow. That's why so many people have left me, is because I'm growing. They're uncomfortable where they're at. They're not growing with me, but you have people around you that fill you up. When you're down, have somebody that fills you up, because we all have down times. We all have times where I'm not getting out of bed today, or God, I can't take another hit. I can't do it. And you can.
Powerful. James, his first is one of his comments is, "I'm there right now, but we can't give up."
Yeah, don't. Giving up and giving in is like, it's like they win, whoever they or whatever all this stuff is going on. It's built to break us down and bring us into fear, right? Stay out of fear and trust and take time to listen, and you'll hear things, and you'll see things. The blessings and the signs that I see and the miracles I saw when I was in my car by myself, and the miracles of the places I found, Jason, these beautiful places in Minnesota I didn't even know existed. They're hidden. Now I call them my treasure places.
My treasure places, what a great term, my treasure places.
Yes, yeah. And now I get to take my daughter and husband to them and gift them with seeing these things.
Will you please read this, what's on the screen right now?
Sure. It says, I came here for a reason. I needed to hear this. Thank you, RaeAnn. Oh, thank you, James. That means a lot to me, because for me to tell my stories, to talk about it, I have made a decision that I am meant to share my life. Now, with that, there comes judgment and hatred, or, you call them your haters. And I remember getting my first hater and feeling so ashamed that I almost shut down and stopped. I almost shut down doing the blue ribbon because of that. And my friend Jason Cisneros says, you embrace that hater. You embrace them, because that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something to make somebody uncomfortable to see something differently. If they don't come back, that's okay. They're not ready yet. But you're meant to tell your story. And I really feel like being honest and telling my story is what I'm meant to do, because there is everything in me believes that there is nothing that can happen to make me stop believing, to make me revert to that quiet girl who was told she will never amount to anything, to stay quiet, don't speak, your voice doesn't matter. That's how I grew up. That girl no longer exists, because my voice matters. I need to be heard, and I have gifts that I want to share to the world. And that's what's going to take me.
So I hadn't anticipated asking this, but what would you say to everyone who feels their voice doesn't matter, who's walking around with their head down, who's trying to hide in the corners? What would you say?
I say it to my best friend all the time. Head up, shoulders back, walk with your head up, look people in the eye, and use your voice. Your voice matters. Your voice is here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. Find what that purpose is. You may not be the person up on stage. You may be the person in the audience doing something totally different, but find out what it is that you are meant to do, because you are not meant to be silent. You're not meant to be small. And through all of this, my heart still loves so much. And it's actually creating a future for me that I never thought I would have. And it started with a donation of over 300 keychains to the Power of We, run by Lauren Harris over in Chicago. And I went to the event, and I saw how these keychains that I made by hand, over 300 of them, they each had a meaning. They had a meaning to what was on there. And I watched people change in front of my eyes. It's like the blue ribbon, but a little different, right? It's gift to share with people that they are enough. And so once I made that donation, I came home and I was so full. And then I get the vision of like, well, okay, I did that. Why don't I do this and create something out of it that can benefit people who run retreats or speaker events or whatever, to let people know through a special gift that they make a difference. So it's my version, basically, of the blue ribbon. I stand behind the blue ribbon. I still use the blue ribbon, but now I have my own version.
Wow, that's
so
cool. That's so cool. So Grandma Sparky sparked this idea of the keychains within you.
Well, the blue ribbon has followed me through everything I've been through, the good, the bad, the ugly, This is threaded through every part of me, because I knew the whole time, after I figured it out at 42, that I made a difference and that I was enough. It has sparked many things. It sparked meeting people I'd never thought I'd meet in this world, and people who are successful to people who are just starting out, and then there's people like me and kind of in the middle. And it's been such a journey, but to come up with something that you want to give to make someone feel special, just like the blue ribbon made me feel. And these are inner city Chicago kids. They've had tough lives every day. Every day they lose people. It's crazy. But a keychain with a little lightning bolt and a star and a medal that says never, never give up or live your dream made them feel loved, because I infused love in everyone that I made. And now I'm going to do that on a larger scale. So it will help me grow.
So exciting. So exciting. And I love how things ripple out, and the keychains are definitely rippling, and we have an example on this podcast. So often our egos, like when someone says you matter, you are enough, our ego say no, that's too big, that's playing too big, I need to stay small. But really knowing we matter and knowing we're enough isn't just about us. That's the ego talking.
Right.
It's about James, who neither of us have met in person yet. James says, I have cerebral palsy, so a lot of this rings true. I struggle mentally a lot. So again, thank you. And if RaeAnn, if you had chosen the life of being this quiet, scared little girl that you were, I mean, you wouldn't have ever allowed yourself to be in a position to tell your story in a way that spoke to James today.
That makes me feel
it ripples. It's about us finding good lives, but it's about us also helping others along the way. And you're such an example of that. And you're such an example of, you were given the blue ribbon at a time you were down and uncertain and exhausted. And you've now been able to pay pay that blue ribbon forward in so many ways, and
Yes.
and now in keychains and in so many other ways too. It's just so there's so many problems in the world right now, but we forget about all the solutions, all the abilities we have to ripple out and
Yeah.
remind each other of the beings that we are, and remind each other of our brilliance. And so
Yeah.
thank you, and thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, James.
Thank you,
Oh,
James. Very touched. Yeah. If I always, you always wonder if you are reaching someone or if they're thinking you're in victimhood, and that can stop you from doing things. And I have just, to even know that one person heard it and is touched and moved by it and may make a change and change that way of thinking that starts out, that's physical, that happens automatically, that's not your fault. You're not broken. We are not broken. No matter what our circumstances is, we are not broken. We have a gift that is meant to go out to the world. And even if it touches one person, it's that ripple effect, right? Officer Todd Besser lost his life, but the ripple effect of his death continues to go on and on and on and on. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one with the story. And that's the power of seeing and waking up and being available to yourself and changing that negativity into always knowing, just look and there's miracles, look and there's solutions. You are not your circumstances.
To more quick. This is so powerful, and I just want to remind the people listening like of this. You've had serious health challenges in the last month, and yet you're showing up, and instead of being woe is me, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and it started with this with the there's been car accidents and so much, instead of being like, oh, this happens, so I can't show up and give my heart to life. You're like, all this has happened, and I'm showing up and giving my heart, and I'm showing up and telling my amazing stories that involve me and so many other people, and I'm showing up and making keychains so kids in the inner city of Chicago can see themselves having a better future. You're like, the challenges have happened, and this is what we're doing now. The
Yeah.
challenges have happened, and this is what we're doing now. So I'm just kidding. Two more things I said the last time, but so one of the two things is so I always in my business I talk to people about the power of doing that and puppet best, and what it means to me is we each of us has the power to dream, to see our best, and I believe that we can not only see the best but go towards the best. And the imperfect part comes in because mistakes happen, challenges happen, stuff happens, and instead of using all that stuff to say, oh no, I'm not worthy of that, too big a dream, oh no, we can learn from that stuff, and it can empower us to move forward. ensure our best might change, might expand, but all of that the imperfect can empower our best.
Oh, it makes us who we are. That's why I'm a misfit, right? We've all made mistakes. We see the mistake and we ask for forgiveness where we can, and then we go out and we serve to the best of our ability. That's what a misfit is, right? We're not perfect. But I love the saying that Danny T always uses is we're perfectly imperfect. Embrace the weirdness. Usually my hair is a lot darker, blue and purple, and that's who I am. And if you think I'm too old for that, or if you think that's weird, that's okay, because it is, because I am. But this is who I am. It's embracing who you are and loving yourself from the inside and out, which takes a lot of work. 2020 was my work year to dig and get to the ugly. What is sitting down there that is stopping me from moving forward? Why can't I figure this out? Why are these circumstances happening? Why am I still trying to find how we're going to do things and put food on the table and all of that? But that had to be cleared out so that the good can come in. The good has no room if you're filled with fear and anger and shame. It has no room to exist in you. So the good, when you get rid of that, like a luggage, like let it go, it opens up the space within you for the good to come in. And that's where the blessings are, and that's for everybody. For everybody.
So this is the last time I'm going to say this, but two more things.
Okay.
So James asks, and just quickly, how I mean, this is a complex question, but just yeah, simplest answer in the moment answer, because this is James, you just asked $1 billion question. How do you shift your mindset?
For me, it was literally beginning in the morning and at night before I close my eyes. It's as simple as coming up with 3 things I am grateful for in the morning and 3 things I'm grateful that happened during the day that are blessings. It's simple. It is literally waking up, and before, as that negative problem solving mind gets busy, to shift it. And you have the power to do that. It could be writing, it could be listening to your favorite song, it could be going on YouTube and finding motivational videos, anything to change that negative mindset that is embedded in you to start working when you open your eyes. You can change that. And it could be just, my simple answer is 3 grateful in the morning and 3 grateful for what happened during the day at night.
That's so beautiful, and thanks for simplifying it. Talking about shifting my mindset can get so overwhelming.
Yes.
So thanks for making it simple. And I want to end with this. So I've seen you do some. I mean, you've done Facebook posts about the expanse of the journey you've been on over the past few years. How do you, RaeAnn Gardner, how do you always end your Facebook posts?
I always end it with keep making memories, my friends.
Love that.
Because we are the keepers of the memories of the people who have gone before us. And we keep them alive through the memories. It's the most important thing.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for being on this rigorous, challenging, rewarding, happy, delightful, painful, lesson teaching journey that you are on, and thank you for your teachings and for just being you and reminding us all that we can use the challenges that come our way to expand and serve and instead of contracting and going into ourselves. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you so much. It was an honor to be on your show. It's an honor to be your friend, Jason. I love you so much. And I can't wait to see you in person again. And it's just been a joy. You are a joy. Joy.
And we should make seeing each other in person sooner than later because now we're
Yes,
neighbors.
we
South
are.
Dakota, Minnesota. Now
Yes,
we're
let's do it. We'll make it happen.
awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, and James Echoes. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
James. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, my gosh, my gosh. Oh, here's the thing, folks. We 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 think we know ourselves. We think we know the people around us. We think we know what our lives are becoming. And sure, we know some of what the people around us have to share, both the challenges and our brilliance. And we know some of ourselves, and we know some of what our lives are becoming. But we're on a journey. It's constantly unfolding. I encourage you to ask questions of the people around you because you don't know the whole story. Just start talking, asking questions, be very curious, and same with you. Start asking questions about yourself. Get very curious. You you may think you know you, and you may think you know what you're capable of, but you're on a journey. You know only part of the story. There's more to come. So keep being inquisitive about yourself and then just know that life is expanding. Yes, it's going to bring challenges, but yes, it's also going to bring good stuff, and know you can learn from it all and become more of who you're meant to be. Thank you for tuning in. Your time is valuable. If you're inspired, by all means, share this with friends. Share this with many friends because as we share our stories, more opportunities open up. So thank you, and oh my gosh, this is supposed to be an hour and it's almost an hour 20. And next week I have another powerful guest on my birthday. When Flipson, he was a few years ahead of me in high school, and I don't want to spoil stories, but he just is brilliant and is traversing so is he's on just such an amazing life journey, and we'll talk about it next week. So thanks for tuning in, and here's the closing, and that's my transitions are still awkward after 93 episodes, and I'm learning, and sometimes I'll be I'll get on and I'll be like, oh, that transition was very smooth, but that's not this one. And that's okay. Okay, see you next week.